everyone, I've flown to Japan 3 times in the last year. I've flown with Japanese carriers such as All Nippon Airways and Japan Airlines, and also I've flown fares such as Premium Economy, Business Class, and First Class. I booked those flights through the usual avenues for ANA through Virgin Atlantic, and I use American Airlines miles and Alaska miles to fly with Japan Airlines. So those are the more obvious ways to book award flights with those Japanese carriers. But did you know there are other sneaky airline ways to book flights with Japan Airlines and All Nippon? Well, let me discuss those sneaky ways. So let's start with ANA All Nippon Airways. So the most prominent way to book non-stop one-way flights is through Virgin Atlantic. And while it does provide the most value with points, high taxes, it does require a phone call to Virgin Atlantic customer service. And that phone call with Virgin Atlantic could take up to minutes to an hour, and you could lose that flight while you're waiting. For this first sneaky way, entering Avianca Airlines, a Star Alliance partner, where you can book All Nippon Airways flights with this airline. And yes, you can book economy, business class, and first class flights with Avianca LifeMiles to fly ANA. For my first example, through Avianca's website, I found a first class flight ANA, and it's from Chicago to Haneda in March 2025. And yes, you can use with Avianca LifeMiles. Before you laugh at the amount of points it will cost to book with Avianca LifeMiles for this ANA flight, please keep in mind two major things. One, you can buy Avianca LifeMiles as low as 1 cents per mile, and also you can transfer it from other credit card issuers such as Wells Fargo, Citi, Bilt, American Express, and Capital One, but not Chase Bank. And drum roll here, it will cost you about 140,000 Avianca LifeMiles if you have the credit card with them, or generally it's going to cost you about 160,000 Avianca LifeMiles for the first class flight with ANA. And back to the point sale, Avianca released recently in April 2020 a 200% bonus on buying LifeMiles, which is about a 1.2 or 3 cents per mile. And since March 2024, Avianca has released tons of points promotions. How about 15 in the last 12 months, including twice this month in April 2025. Buying Avianca miles is a good way to get really nice upper class flights for thousands of dollars or less. Or another way is to buy some Avianca Life miles to top off an award booking from other credit cards you transferred points from as well. And to compare with Virgin Atlantic, while it does cost 85,000 points to book Virgin Atlantic generally from the East Coast with its first class flight, the taxes are much higher, and with Avianca, the taxes right now are showing about $78. But remember, with Virgin Atlantic, you do have to call Virgin Atlantic customer service to book that flight. With Avianca, you just go on the site and book it. And if you were to book with United Airlines, and I wouldn't, unless you have unlimited miles with that airline, because it will cost you 220,000 United Airlines miles. And for United, just to close this off, it will cost you about 165,000, 220,000 United miles for first class flights through ANA, depending on the route and distance. And on to business class, as I noted, Avianca does have awardability for business class flights through an ANA as well. And for this example, I found one from Hawaii to Tokyo, and as of this recording, which is April 23, 2025, the flight departs in 2 days, April 25th. And you can book it through Avianca's website. You know what that means? That actually is so good because we know about Virgin Atlantic's recent devaluation, I guess, with ANA, where you can't book an ANA business class when it's within 14 days of departure. So while you pay more points with Avianca, which I'll tell you in a second, you can book it last minute, which I think a lot of people like to do when you fly to Japan. And the drum roll here, how much points will it cost for this business class flight with Avianca LifeMiles? 85,000 Avianca LifeMiles without the card, and about 76,000 miles if you have the Avianca LifeMiles credit card. Remember, while the points are high, you can always do what I told you in the last segment. You can buy points for 1.1 cents per point as the lowest, or transfer from many credit card issuers that I mentioned in the last segment. And if you were to book with United, just as a comparison, it will cost you about 110,000 United mileage points. And remember, United is pretty limited as you can only transfer from 2 credit card issuers, mainly from Chase and Bilt Rewards. So did you know Air Canada Aeroplan is also showing award availability in flying All Nippon Airways? We'll start with first class, and the availability is very scarce as I could not find a lot of examples to show you, but I did find one. And the one example I did find is not from America to Japan or vice versa, but actually from London to Japan, first class, any of the suite, air product I've flown. You definitely can check out the video there. And the points for that first class flight through Air Canada Aeroplan will be about 100,000 points and about 540 Canadian, which is just shy of $400 in taxes, which is very similar to what I paid when I did it through Virgin, since they pass on the fuel charges to the consumer. And as a comparison for Aeroplan compared to Virgin Atlantic, while the points are higher, not by much, it doesn't require that phone call through Virgin Atlantic, and it's definitely much cheaper than United with the 220,000 points. So definitely Aeroplan is definitely a preferred choice for this kind of booking, and I would take it, I think, in this situation, definitely. As for business class flights, Air Canada Aeroplan shows a lot more availability than first class. And depending on the distance and route for business class through Air Canada, it will cost about 55 to 75,000 Air Canada Aeroplan points when flying ANA. And to personify my example, if you fly from the West Coast or Hawaii to Japan, it will be 55,000 Aeroplan points at about 134 Canadian dollars. But remember that 55,000 points, that's the lowest business class fare, which basically means you can't change or cancel for free. There will be a fee. And there's a second option you can choose here, where you can pay 20,000 more Aeroplan points for a business flexible fare. And while it's nice, I'm not gonna lie, you can see you get free changes are free, and then also you can pay only the fare difference. But the one thing I don't like is that they don't guarantee the 100% refundability. So you have to ask yourself this question, and the question is that change fees for Aeroplan are about $100, and then refunds can be about, I think, around $150 for cancellation. So you need to ask yourself this question: should you pay 20,000 more Aeroplan points to avoid pay about $100 to $150? That's up to you. I value the points more, but let me know in the comments what you think about that. So let's move on to Japan Airlines. And for Japan Airlines, we all know it's common when it comes to award bookings that you can book flights to Japan with it basically through Japan Airlines and many One World Airline Alliance partners, such as we got British Airways, American Airlines, Finnair, Alaska Air, Cathay. Need I go more? Here's a full list right there. While not every airline will have the same awardability for Japan Airlines, so your miles may vary on that when you do your search. But what if I told you there are 2 other airlines not in the One World Alliance or Japan Airlines that you can use and book Japan Airlines flights around the world? As of this month, it was confirmed that, how about this, JetBlue Airlines, you can use their JetBlue points to book flights with Japan Airlines. It is interesting because JetBlue, as I've noted in the past, is not part of any airline alliances, but has special airline partnerships with other airlines such as Qatar Airways, Etihad, Singapore Airlines, Iceland Air, and also Hawaiian Airlines. And here's a full list here as well. So what does it cost to fly with Japan Airlines with JetBlue points? Right off the bat, there is no first class awardability with JetBlue and Japan Airlines, but definitely could be coming in the future. So let's move on to business class. So in regards for awardability in the points, let's start with the East Coast to Japan and vice versa. And it doesn't matter in regards for flying into Haneda or Narita, but it'll cost you about 35,000 for economy, about 59,000 points for premium economy, and 79,000 points for business class with Japan Airlines and JetBlue. To me, I think West Coast is the deal because for economy, it's the same, about 35,000 JetBlue points, 59,000 for premium economy, and 59,000 for business class. That's crazy, right? And lastly, from Hawaii to Japan, which I think is kind of crazy with these points because I think they're close to Japan, but it's 30 points for economy, 49,000 for premium economy, but then 99,000 points for business class. That is got to be a glitch or it's very crazy. But on the glitch part, the fact that you can fly from the West Coast to Japan and vice versa for the same price, premium economy and business for 59,000 points, I would definitely take business class if it's available. And if it is a glitch, grab it now before they change it in the system. I will say one caveat, and I actually show some screenshots here, that the taxes for JetBlue is kind of high. It's about $200. And the worst part is that it's the same amount of taxes for economy, premium economy, and business class. So take advantage in regards for if you fly business class, you pay the same amount of taxes, whereas economy you don't, and you're paying that $200. Yeah, that's kind of something to think about going forward. And maybe they'll change it, but I'm not entirely sure. So if you are looking to fly to Japan with US-based carriers with Japan Airlines, definitely consider using Alaska Air or American Airlines, as they provide the best rates for lowest taxes with Japan Airlines. And lastly, one other airline that you can use your miles to fly Japan Airlines Japan is with Bilt Rewards. And Bilt Rewards comes from using the Bilt Rewards MasterCard. As of this recording, there is no confirmed award availability. It's just been rumored from a lot of credit card content and creators. And per frequent miler, they're supposed to release that information as early as May 1st or June 1st of this year. So stay tuned for more news and content on Bilt Rewards and Japan Airlines in the future. And if you're still here, how about some bonus time? You can book other flights to Japan with Avianca and United Airlines. And for this example, for bonus time, basically you're flying United Airlines to Japan from America. How much will it cost for economy? About 50,000 Avianca LifeMiles to fly economy from America to Japan. And for business class, it's going to cost you about around 100,000 Avianca LifeMiles to fly from America to Japan. And it doesn't matter if it's East Coast or West Coast, as you will fly United Business Class, also known as United Polaris, which I've flown here a couple times. You can check out some videos. But yeah, that's pretty cool that there's no difference between West Coast or East Coast with Avianca and United to Japan. Otherwise, that's it for the video. The tips and tricks, sneaky airlines on flying from Japan to America and vice versa with ANA and Japan Airlines. Let me know what you think about the content and the tips I gave you. And if you found it useful, make sure to hit that like button, share my content going forward, and also leave a comment as well if you found it useful as well. As I say in all my videos, life is short, travel more on one, and definitely subscribe to my new Travel to a Long Way Travels, and also stick around to the end for some more clips around my third time in Japan. Anyway, I'll see you on the next one.